Hi everyone, and welcome to Fun with Maths with me, Beejal. Today we're going to be doing a data discovery. Now, what is data? It's a really big word that we hear adults using all the time, but do we actually know what it is? Today we'll be discovering all about data, and by the end of the lesson, you'll have your own data activity to do. So let's get started. What are you going to need for today's lesson? Firstly, you're going to need a pen or a pencil to write with. You'll then need a ruler. Now, if you don't have a ruler, you can just get a straight edge, so a book or something that you can draw a straight line with, something to write on, and of course, your brain. I want you to pause the video now and make sure you've got these things ready before we move on. Okay, let's get started. So the structure of today's session will be starting off with what is data, looking at collecting and recording data, presenting data, and finally we'll end up with our independent activity. So what is data? Now, what I want you to do now is if you can just pause the video on your piece of paper, can you write down what do you think of when you hear the word data? Pause it and write it down on your piece of paper. Okay, I wonder if you have come up with the same sentence that I have. Data is simply the collection of information. That's all we're doing. We're collecting information about a certain topic. So like I said, we're going to be looking at collecting data, so this information, different ways that we can record this information, and how we could present this information so that it's useful and can be interpreted by other people. So you can see on this slide, I've got a picture, and my question is, what information could we want to collect from this picture? So again, if you can pause the video, on your piece of paper, make some notes. What sort of information could I collect from this picture? Okay, shall I share some of the things that I came up with? So I might want to find out how many people are booked on this flight over here in the middle. I might even want to find out what is the most common way of travel, because in this picture I can see aeroplanes, I can see buses, I can even see some cars and hovercrafts. I might want to find out how many buses will be needed to transport people. Or I might want to find out how many children are there in this place compared to the number of adults. So let's move on to our collecting and recording of data. So there are two main ways that we can collect and record data. One of these is through a tally, and one of these is through a table. So we'll start off looking at a tally chart. So the first thing I need to notice with my tally chart is that I've got it labelled. So you can see here what information was I collecting. I was looking at the favourite flavour of ice cream, and I've listed my 4 flavours down the side: chocolate, vanilla, strawberry and bubblegum. My next column is my tally, and you can see here a tally chart we recorded using lines. Each line represents one person or whatever information I'm collecting, one thing. Now, when we're doing a tally, when we get to 5, we put a diagonal line going through it to cross it. And the reason we do that is so that it's easier to count those tally marks. Instead of counting individual lines, we can count in groups of 5. So straight away here, I can see chocolate. That is already a group of 5, plus 2 more is 7. And my last column is my total. So I can see 7 people liked chocolate ice cream, 4 people liked vanilla ice cream, 2 people liked strawberry ice cream, and 8 people liked bubblegum ice cream. I wonder what your favourite flavour of ice cream is. Now that I've got my tally chart, we're going to see if we can answer a few questions about it. So my first question is, what was the least popular flavour of ice cream? Do you want to say it to your computer screen? Well done, it is strawberry, because only 2 people liked strawberry ice cream. Let's have a look at our next question. How much more popular was bubblegum ice cream than vanilla ice cream? So now I know I'm comparing 2 types of ice creams. I'm comparing bubblegum, which had 8, and vanilla, which had 4. And my question is saying how much more popular. Now, if I think back to my vocabulary, I know when it's asking how much more, I need to do a subtraction. So I would do 8, take away 4, and my answer would be 4. Bubblegum was 4 times more popular than vanilla ice cream. My third question, true or false? 3 more people preferred strawberry ice cream than vanilla ice cream. let's think about what that's saying. I need to decide if this statement is true or if it is false. 3 more people preferred strawberry ice cream than vanilla. So I can see 2 people liked strawberry ice cream and 4 people liked vanilla ice cream. So did more people prefer strawberry ice cream? No. So that statement must be false. And my last question. Did more people like chocolate and vanilla ice cream or strawberry and bubblegum? How would I work this out? I need to compare chocolate and vanilla compared to strawberry and bubblegum. So let's have a look. How many people liked strawberry and vanilla ice cream? I would need to do an addition. 7 plus 4 is 11. So 11 people liked chocolate and vanilla ice cream. I wonder how many people like strawberry and bubblegum ice cream. 2 people liked strawberry and 8 people liked bubblegum. 2 plus 8 is 10. So 10 people liked strawberry and bubblegum ice cream. Let's go back to my question. Did more people like chocolate and vanilla, which was 11, or strawberry and bubblegum, which was 10? So my answer should be more people liked chocolate and vanilla because they had 11 people who liked it. Okay, now I want you to have a turn at answering some questions. So I've got another tally chart here, but this time I've not filled in my total column. So this time I'm looking at mode of transport. How many people travelled in different ways? So we've got travelling by a car, by a bus, by a train, and by a taxi. So the first thing I want you to do is write down the totals. So have a look at your tallies and remember, when we've got this diagonal line, we count it as a group of 5. So write down your totals in the total column and then see if you can answer these questions. So our first question is, what was the least popular mode of transport? Number 2, how much more popular was travel by bus than travel by train? Number 3, true or false, 1 more person travelled by bus than by taxi? And number 4, did more people travel by car and bus or train and taxi? So I want you to pause the video now, fill in the total column and have a go at answering the 4 questions. Okay, should we see how you got on? So the first thing you should have done is filled in your total column. So we could have seen that 3 people travelled by car, 7 people by bus, 4 people by train, and 7 people by taxi. Now let's have a look at our questions. What was the least popular mode of transport? You should have had a car because that was the smallest number with only 3 people. How much more popular was travel by bus than travel by train? I can see that bus had 7 people, train had 4 people, so 7 take away 4 is 3. Question 3, true or false, 1 more person travelled by bus than taxi. I can see bus had 7 people, taxi had 7 people, so they're actually the same, so that statement would have to be false. And my last question, which 2 modes of transport were equally popular? And we've just discussed this in question 3, so bus and taxi were equally popular. How did you get on? So if you found that a bit tricky, I might rewind the video and listen to that explanation a little bit more carefully. If not, I think you're ready to move on. So we've spoken about our first way of collecting and recording data, which was a tally. The next way to collect and record data was using a table. So you can see on this slide, I've collected some data about the weather over a number of days. So you can see in my table, I've got the weather, which is sunny, rainy, windy, and cloudy, and the number of days that I saw each of those weather types. So we're going to see how we can use this to answer some questions. Number 1 says, were there more sunny or cloudy days? So I can see there were 5 sunny days and 7 cloudy days. So there must have been more cloudy days, so I can write my answer in. Number 2, true or false? There were half the number of windy days than rainy days. Let's have a look. Windy, there were 2 days. Rainy, there were 4 days. Let's read my question again. There were half the number of windy days than rainy days. Is 2 half of 4? Yes, it is. So that statement would be true. How many sunny and rainy days were there in total? So I've got 5 sunny days, 4 rainy days. My vocabulary, my question is asking me in total. That tells me that I need to add. 5 plus 4 is 9. So there were 9 sunny and rainy days in total. And number 4, what is the difference between the number of cloudy days and rainy days? So I'm comparing cloudy, which is 7, and rainy, which is 4. Now again, I need to look at the vocabulary in my question. Whenever it's asking me to find the difference, I should know straight away that that is a subtraction. So I need to do 7 take away 4, which is 3. There were 3 more cloudy days than rainy days. Now it's your turn. I've collected some more data on this slide and I've recorded it in a table. This time I looked at the number of trees, different types of trees, I could find in the park. There are some questions at the bottom which I'd like you to have a go answering. So were there more oak trees or cherry trees? True or false? There were 4 more sycamore trees than oak trees. Number 3, how many cherry and apple trees were there in total? And number 4, what is the difference between the number of oak trees and the number of apple trees? I want you to pause the video while you have a go at answering this and come back when you're ready to go through the answers. Okay, how did you find that? Let's go through our answers. So were there more oak trees or cherry trees? We can see oak, there were 7 trees, and cherry trees, there was 1, so there was more oak trees. Number 2, true or false, there were 4 more sycamore trees than oak trees. I've got 3 sycamore trees, 7 oak trees. There were 4 more sycamore trees. Oh, that must be false, because there were actually 4 more oak trees than sycamore trees. Number 3, how many cherry and apple trees were there in total? So I've got cherry is 1, apple is 9, 1 plus 9 is 10. And lastly, what is the difference between the number of oak trees and the number of apple trees? There were 7 oak trees and 9 apple trees. So 9 take away 7 is 2. Hopefully you remembered that when you see the word difference, it is a subtraction. So again, if you found these questions tricky, maybe pause the video, go back and have a look at where you went wrong. So we've now finished our bit on collecting and recording data. Hopefully you've managed to understand that there are 2 main ways of collecting and recording data in a tally or in a table. We're now ready to move on to presenting data. And again, there are 2 ways that we're going to look at presenting data. One of these is using pictograms and the other one is using a bar chart. So you can see here I've used the same data from my previous slides about the weather and I've turned it into a pictogram. Now a pictogram, there's a clue in the word, pict, is when I use pictures to represent data. Now these pictures can be whatever you decide it to be. I've decided to keep mine weather themed since my pictogram is about the weather. Now there are 3 important things that you need to have when you're doing a pictogram. You can see on the side here, one of them is my key. Now my key shows me that each picture represents 2 days. So whenever I'm counting my pictures, I need to be counting in 2s. The second thing you need to have is a title to tell me what data the pictogram is showing me. And I need my axes, so I need to label my different types of weather. Why do you think I've got half a picture up here? Well done. It's because each picture represents 2 days. So if I needed to represent 1 day, I would just do half of my picture. Now I can use my pictogram to answer some questions. So we've got our pictogram on the side, and let's see if we can answer these questions. It says, how many days was it windy? So I need to go down to the windy bit. I can see 1 full picture, and I know that this 1 picture represents 2 days. So how many days was it windy? It was windy for 2 days. My next question, what is the difference between the number of days it was cloudy and the number of days it was rainy? So let's look at my question. What is the difference? When I see the word difference, I know I need to subtract. So I'm comparing cloudy with rainy. There were how many cloudy days? 2, 4, 6, 7. Take away 2, 4. 7 take away 4 is 3. So there's a difference of 3 days between cloudy and rainy days. Okay, now it's going to be your turn. I have got So that was presenting data in a pictogram. We can also present data in a bar chart. So this time I've used my data that I collected about the trees in the park, and I've created a bar chart out of it. Now there are a few things you need to remember when you're doing a bar chart. Firstly, your bars should never be touching each other, so you can see that I've left a gap between each of my bars. When I'm doing a bar chart, I also need to make sure that I've got a title, so I've put it at the top there, types of trees found in the park. I've also got labelled axes. Now in a bar chart, I've got two axes. I've got a horizontal axis, which is going across, and that shows me my type of tree, and my vertical axis, which shows me the number of trees. And you can see here, I've done each square represents one tree. So in my data, I had 7 oak trees, so you can see I've coloured in 7 squares. Let's see if we can answer some questions using the data from our bar chart. Okay, how many apple trees were found in the park? So I need to go along my horizontal axes until I get to apple. I need to see how many squares are coloured in, go across, and I can see that there were 9 squares coloured in. So my answer should be 9. How many more sycamore trees were found than cherry trees? I need to go along my horizontal axes. I can see I had 3 sycamore trees and 1 cherry tree. How many more sycamore trees were found than cherry? I would need to do 3, take away 1 equals 2. Okay, hopefully you found all of that okay, and you're now ready for the independent task. So for your task today, you're going to be using all your knowledge that you've just discovered about data to try and collect, record, and present your own set of data. So I'm going to give you a couple suggestions of the type of data that you could collect, but if you can think of something that you'd like to do, you can choose whatever data you would like to collect. So one of them that you could do is color crazy. You can time yourself and spend 5 minutes going around your house and collect and record the colors of the objects that you see. So if I was doing that, for example, straight away I can see a plant, so I could record one in my tally chart for a plant. Remember, you can record it in a tally or a table, you can choose. You could also do a fridge raid. So go to your fridge and write down the first 10 items you see. Then record how many times each letter of the alphabet is used to spell each item. So for example, if one of the things I saw was apples, I would write down, right, there's 1 A in that letter, so I could record that in my table. There are 2 P's in the word apple, I could record 2 next to the letter P. There's 1 L and 1 E. I could also do ask a friend. So ask as many people as you can their preference about a certain topic. So for example, their favorite sport. So you can choose one of those 3 things to collect data, or like I said, you can pick your own topic to collect some data on. Once you've decided, you then need to think, are you going to record your data in a table or a tally chart? And how are you going to present your data? Do you want to do a pictogram or do you want to do a bar chart? So make sure you look back through the video to check if you are stuck on any bits of information on how to label or how to present your work, and enjoy your data discovery. Now, I would love to see some of your work, so once you're finished, please feel free to send me your data collection and your bar charts or pictograms, and I would love to have a look at it. Enjoy and see you soon. Bye.